Well, well, well. I came across this story the other day. Restaurants in deep blue cities are struggling for attendance. Deep blue cities inside blue states, primarily, compared to the red state counterparts. Let's take a look at the numbers. Let's get right into this. So, this is from July 2019 to July 2022. This is tracked. So, the bottom 10 cities struggling to recover, it's rounded out by San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia, New York City, St. Louis, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Chicago. What do most of those have in common? They're in Democrat states, and these are deep blue cities. So we look at the top 10. Las Vegas, Nevada is number one. They saw the biggest increase in restaurant attendance from July 2019 to July 2022, 35.7%. Now, with the exception of Las Vegas, Nevada, the rest of these cities in the top 10 are all in Republican states. So let's take a look. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Austin, Naples, Tampa, Nashville, San Antonio, Scottsdale, and Phoenix. Like I said, with the exception of Nevada, which is run by a Democrat governor, although they do have lower taxes and lower cost of living than a lot of these Democrat states, the rest of these are run by Republicans. So there's a reason for that. The pandemic hit, and there was a clear distinction between blue states and red states. The red states recovered economically a lot faster than the blue states. I'm sorry. Republican governors opened up their economies, they cut taxes, and they got people back to work a lot faster after the shutdowns. I live in Texas. We were closed for maybe a month, and then it was time to get back to work. Greg Abbott opened up the state for the most part. Restaurants opened up. Malls, shopping centers opened back up, and the economy got going a lot faster than some of these blue states. A lot of these blue states, actually. So we did a lot better in Texas than a lot of places, which is why we saw more people coming to the state of Texas, leaving these blue states. They had these draconian lockdowns. Places like California, Illinois, Michigan was shut down, New York. So yeah, let's take a listen. There's a 3-minute long video. It's from the Republican Governors Association, and they're going to talk about how they open up their economies a lot faster and how they got things going in their states compared to blue states. Check it out.
The pandemic really highlighted the difference between Democrats' policies and Republican-led state policies.
This 40-year high Biden inflation, it is literally killing people when they go to the grocery store, and it's killing them when they go to the gas pump.
And we're very close to a ditch.
Tax and spend policies, the unconstitutional mandates that are pitting Americans against Americans.
The supply chain problem affected every person in every state.
It's harder to fill up with a tank of gas. It's harder to get groceries.
Spending at the federal level by the Biden administration is certainly driving this.
And it is the most corrosive thing to an American family's pocketbook.
A lot of the things that have been taking place in the last couple of years have moved us and inched us closer and closer to that ditch.
As governors, one of the ways that we can help offset that is by promoting policies that create growth and great job opportunities.
What we've done in Ohio is to cut taxes. Our taxes are low. We cut taxes by over $2 billion this year.
We've been able to simplify and cut taxes every year I've been in office. In the last year, we actually had the largest tax cut in Arizona state history, a 2.5% flat tax across the board for every Arizonan.
What we're doing in Idaho is we're giving people their money back. Last year we did the first ever tax rebate And this year we're doing even a bigger one.
Because of keeping our economy open and our coffers full, we were able to pass the largest state income tax cut in our history.
We joined together with a large number of governors across the country to create an initiative called Operation Open Road that really looked at the ability to deregulate trucking, for example, licensure, the kinds of things that if we get the government out of the way, we can actually operate more efficiently.
In Montana, because we've enacted pro-business policies, we're seeing people return to work. We have more people working than ever before in the history of the state. Record low unemployment at 2.3%.
If you look at the fastest recovering states from the pandemic, top 10 were all Republican. The ones that struggled the most, the bottom 10, they were all Democrat. The red state recovery was much better because it's our policies that help people live a more normal life and then rebound faster from the pandemic.
Red states protected lives, livelihoods, and individual liberty. Blue states shut down small businesses, shuttered our schools, put unnecessary mask mandates and vaccine mandates out there, and you can see Americans voting with their feet.
What can happen this fall is that we can move right back into a place where we safely move down the road.
Republican governors across this country are taking on big issues. They're making tough decisions. And most importantly, what you see coming out of our states is they're getting things done.
It's hitting the headwinds of these federal policies that are making our paychecks go not as far.
Continuing Republican governors and getting more Republican governors is really very, very important.
All right, so you heard that. That's very important. Economic policy is one of the main reasons why I vote Republican. Like I said, with the pandemic, it was a clear distinction between red states and blue states and the way Republicans do things with their economies. So we saw California locked down. We saw Illinois locked down, Michigan, New York, and we saw places like my state, like I said, in Texas, we were up and running. We were thriving, and we're still thriving. We have one of the strongest economies in the country with records amount of jobs being created here, businesses flocking to Texas, people flocking to Texas, houses being built, apartments being built. I see it every day. I'm not saying that there aren't issues here because of inflation, things like that, but we were able to withstand these the virus and the pandemic a lot better than these Democrat states did because of our pro-growth policies. Now, I'm not saying that Greg Abbott is perfect. He has some flaws, but I will give him credit for his business friendly environment he's created here in Texas. And he didn't keep the state locked down as long as he did as some of these blue states, blue governors did. So, yeah, here you go from the Daily Mail. Red states have more people in work than before the start of the pandemic as they see faster post-COVID economic recovery than blue counterparts. Yes, a Moody's Analytics study shows that Republican-led states are adding far more jobs than their Democrat counterparts. One reason for red states' revival is migration, with millions ditching blue states during the COVID-19 pandemic. Florida, which saw the most COVID-19 migrants, recorded a budget surplus of $20 billion for the year, with some of that money going to raising teacher salaries. Over in Texas, cities are more than 50% office space occupancy. Meanwhile, in San Francisco and Los Angeles, more than 60% of offices are empty. So, Republican-led states are continuing to outperform their Democrat rivals economically. Analysis by Moody's found that red states, those that have voted for a GOP president the last two elections, are up 341,000 jobs in total compared to February of 2020. But it was a different story in blue states, which are still collectively 1.3 million workers down in totals, taken just before the pandemic began 2.5 years ago. So, Democrat states as a whole are down over 1 million jobs compared to Republican states. So let's take a look at the migration numbers. This is from United Van Lines. They do a study every year to see where people are going, what the trends are. So this is out of every 100 moves in a state, whether it's incoming or inbound or outbound. I'm sorry. These are the percentages. So look at California, Democrat-led state, deep blue state. Total inbounds 41.7. 59% of people left the state per 100 moves. Take a look at Texas, where I live. 54% inbound, 45.6% outbound. So Texas, this number is actually pretty balanced. We are getting a lot of people coming here, but a lot of people think that it's just so many people coming here that we're just getting more full by the day. In reality, Texas was the second most moved to state, according to a recent study, and the second most people leaving as well. So it's pretty balanced in reality. But we are getting more people coming than leaving, but still a lot of people do leave Texas to go other places. Whether it be California or wherever, maybe liberals are leaving the state because they don't like our pro-growth policies. I don't know. We take a look at Florida. Total inbound Florida for 2021, we saw 62% people coming in, 38% going out. Now, if we go to previous years for Florida, this is important here because it's going to show, it's a testament to Ron DeSantis, actually. 2018, let's go back a couple of years. Florida saw pretty balanced, 55% inbound, 44% outgoing. But as we saw after the pandemic, that number flipped. We're seeing about 60% of total moves, people coming into the state versus leaving, 40% leaving. So, stay with 2021. Look at places like Tennessee, solid red state. 62% inbound, 38% outbound. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, folks. New York, deep blue state, 37% inbound, 63% outbound. So a lot of people are leaving New York. Illinois, it's actually worse. 32.8% people coming into the state, 67% leaving per 100 moves. So we're seeing this across the country. Idaho is another one. So we're seeing this across the country because people are leaving these deep blue states for redder pastures where we have more economic growth, more freedom, less regulation, and you can live your life in a red state. You can live your life, you can raise your family in red states, a lot of job opportunities, a lot of growth. The pandemic, like I said, was a clear contrast between the red states and the blue states. So this is one of the main reasons why I vote Republican. If you want to live your life comfortably and have a normal life, you want to have a thriving business, you want to get a job, you want to have restaurants that are open, that are full of people, and that are thriving, red states are the place to be. And that the numbers show that. There's no denying that. So people that leave these blue states are not all Democrats. That's not what the polling says. That's not what the data says. What I'm seeing from my studies is that a lot of people leaving for these red states, a lot of them are Republicans. A lot of them vote Republican. So also, that's not to say that they come from a blue state and they were a Democrat. A lot of these people will probably change their minds as well. You can see if you're at home and you're locked down, you have mask mandates on your kids, these vaccine mandates to go into restaurants. your business gets shut down. You look at a red state, you're in California, your business gets closed, you lose your job or whatever. Your kids can't go to school. But you look at places like Texas, where I live, and kids were in school, businesses were open, kids are playing sports. You're gonna make that move. You're gonna see, this was run by a Democrat, and this is what a red state looks like. I'm leaving. So I don't think people should worry too much. If you just take a look at the data, the polling, which I will make a video about the people coming to Texas on my Texas channel. I'll post a link in the box, and that should be coming in the next few days. It's not a bunch of liberals coming to Texas or liberals going to Florida. We saw Florida is getting more red. Texas got more red in 2020 as opposed to 2018. So it's not all bad, folks. There's a lot to be optimistic about. And we can point to these Republican governors. I'm not saying they're all perfect, that they're all great, but they did a far better job as far as managing their economies and keeping their states open, as opposed to Democrat governors. And numbers clearly show that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to end the video right there. If you have not done so, like and subscribe. And this was the Mixed Texan Report. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Take care.